YouTube, it's me again, Iron Bloke, and today I'm doing a model special. Father Christmas came early today to give me a wonderful gift of some Russian tanks. So as you can see, we've got Soviet T-35 early, T-28 medium tanks early, Ba-10 armoured car, and I've got two sets of track. And I will be routing through the boxes of all of these and also comparing them to some kits which have been on the market for a good few years. So without further ado, let's dive into the T-35. For my referencing, I am using the Steel Fortress T-28 medium tank and Land Battleship T-35 heavy tank book by, well, Jim Kinnear and the original authors I can't pronounce, but you can see there. Highly recommend getting these books, really informative, tons of photos, as you can see, very worn from a good year now of love. So here we have the box of the T-35. The box art is it driving across a red square. Just a few things to point out before we continue. Those combat lights in the front are awfully drawn. That's not how combat lights look. And also the radio antenna is a bit dodgy in my opinion. But apart from that, does the job. It looks really nice, is well painted. And here's the open box. As you can see, it is an absolute box full. Oh, look at that. So some of the extra, well, the bits you get the painting guide, 2 paint schemes available. You've got this one here, which is definitely a parade in Moscow, and the other one, this one here, is actually from the Kubinka training ground in the early 1930s. This one you can actually find pictures of in the Land Battleship book. Let's get out of the way so you can try not to get in the light. You can see how absolutely massive the box is and how deep it is. So you've got the nice early turret, and you can see you get loads, just loads. You can see the side skirts, the main tower for where the turret goes, the rear intake. Some people won't like this, but you got link and length track. Looks really nice. And I'll move on to the individual links you can get for it in a minute. So as you can see, it keeps on going and going and going. It's absolute box full. And here is the picture of the tank with the yellow command ring, just to let you know. And there's another nice photo of it up here with a Voroshilev's tractor. Yeah, my pronunciation is awful. So these are the bits that you get which are not on a sprue, which are slide molded. You've got the hull roof, the main turret which houses the 7.62 centimeter gun, and the two 45mm guns. Also you get 3 reams of photo etch, so another one underneath that one, and this absolutely massive decal sheet. It's huge. Pretty generic as well though. You get a standard Russian star, which is common on T-35s from looking at historical photos. And then you've got the divisional symbols for the turrets, which, according to my research, no T-35 was painted in during the Great Patriotic War. Now what I've got here is the old ICM T-35. This has been sitting on my shelf for a little while. It still doesn't have tracks, but that is what the Hobby Boss tracks will be used for. So they're in a league of their own, the new Hobby Boss ones, compared to the old ICM kit. The biggest difference in mark is the ICM kit has the P-40 anti-aircraft mount, while the new kit has the original production hatch. What's quite interesting is they do actually seem to marry up quite well size-wise. So the little turrets match little turrets, the big turrets match the big turrets. If you're considering which one to buy, obviously you go for the Hobby Boss one. Finer quality, easier to build. So here we have the two KT-28 turrets. So you can see you've got the ICM one on the left and the new Hobby Boss one on the right. As I said before, they both marry up size-wise pretty decently. The only thing I would say about the new Hobby Boss one is you can see there, if my camera will focus a bit, you can just see the places where you've got to put the antenna on. Now, if you don't want the antenna, or choose to use, because there's two antennas with different placements, so you have to remove the moulding marks, the guidance mark, should I say, for the other one that you don't want. Also, we've got the two 45mm turrets. Now, the only thing with my ICM one is I did buy some aftermarket gun barrels and mantlets, so they're not quite right. Even though it's aftermarket, it's supposed to be a correction, they're actually more inaccurate than the ICM kit. But as I said before, the turrets, you know, pretty much marry size-wise. The Hobby Boss seems a tiny bit bigger. And as I said before, you've got the P-40 mount and the early hatch. Interesting point to note that the little piece of plastic just in front of the driver's hatch, this bit here, you need to remove. Now, if you keep an eye on the Hobby Boss website, you will see that they are producing a conical turret T-35, which will be most delectable. Not only that, the fact that this turret roof isn't in a separate piece indicates that we will probably be seeing in the not too distant future a T-35 with the P-40 anti-aircraft mount. Well, let's move on now to the T-28 medium tank. Let's have a quick look at the box. Again, it's beautifully painted. I can't find much to complain about this one. Again, it's on Red Square or the square in Leningrad. Doesn't really matter. They've labelled it a T-28 medium tank early, so when I open the box and rummage around, I will show you the bits you need to look out for to know that it's an early version. Obvious ones being the gun. Let's crack it open and have a look what it's like inside. And here's what we get inside the box. Again, another box full. Character struggling to get the lid down. So, I'll go through the sprues in just a second. So, you've got like the bottom skirts and, yeah, just bottom skirts. Your track and running gear in this bit here. Lift up the turrets, you can see more of that, and you've got your body bits all in there. Now let's just go through some of the more interesting bits. So here we have the paint guide. You can see that this one has a red band around the turret, which through my research I know that this is during the Russian invasion of Poland in 1939. If I turn it over, we've just got a blank one, which is pretty much generic. You've got to remember that most Russian tanks weren't actually painted camouflaged. On most of them didn't even have like divisional markings. Most of them were just plain green. Interestingly enough, we get, for some reason, 4 small turrets. Now, blasted be me if I could find any difference between the two. There doesn't seem to be much. I'm sure that there probably is. There's probably just a bolt different. I don't think it particularly matters whether you want to do your T28 early or not. One of the key features of the T28 and T35 series was they had interchangeable parts. So the little turrets you saw earlier could fit on your T-35. Oh, my hand is very shaky. You can also see that we have the same turret, which has the KT-28 gun in. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if you can see it, there you go. You can see the same bits you have to remove for the aerial guide. And again, because we are an early T-28, we have a single command hatch. Exactly the same sprue, because it's the exact same turret. It is this piece here that makes this particular T-28 an early version. There are also some other minor things to point out to make it early, but this is the key thing. Throughout the T-28 development, they changed the rear access hatch to the air extractor very often. This is actually not the earliest version of T-28. This is the second production version with one big hatch which folds upwards. So this is kind of upside down at the moment. In the Steel Fortress book we have a 1/35th scale plan of an original production T-28. And as you can see over the rear engine deck, it is completely closed, so there's no air which can actually get in. And again on the sides, there should be, in later models there are slats along the side, but not in this original production version. As you can see, we've got the early hatch. So if you wanted to make one of these, all you need to do is scratch build a rear from using our kit. And indeed, in the T-35 book, you can see an original production T-28 on parade with the second prototype for the T-35. So you can really clearly see that there's no air intake on that. So if you wanted to make an original production T-28, you just scratch build a rear. In addition to this, on sprue D, you get this lovely piece right here. Now, if you want your tank to be a sort of World War II version, or at least post-1938, build it with this. If you want it a parade vehicle from the pre-war years, and more importantly before 1938, don't add him, because he is a post-38 add-on. Not all, but a majority of T-28s after 1938 were fitted with this feature. It's essentially a tarpauling stowage device. And here we have the slide moulded hull. As you can see, it's in two pieces. Beautifully moulded, might I add. No flash at all. One point of interest is, if I take the top and the bottom off, you can see that the turret rings do not have the little key shapes to put your turret in. So, essentially, don't pick up your tank by the turret, because it'll end up on the floor. Here we have my very used and abused ICM T-28 hull, married up against the new Hobby Boss one. Now hopefully my camera won't do the stupid twisty thing. Nope, there we go. You can just see I've married up the front plates so that they're at the same distance, and the Hobby Boss one is ever so slightly longer. It definitely is the more accurate of the two, and is much more easy to build, trust me. Last of our model kits, not including the track accessories, is the Soviet Ba-10 armoured car. Again, let's have a look at the box. It's sturdy enough, the picture is absolutely beautiful again, but my first complaint about this kit does come to light. They've called it a Soviet Ba-10 armoured car. I'm afraid that this isn't a Soviet Ba-10 armoured car. This is a Ba-10M armoured car. It even references it on the side of the box. You can tell this by the boxes here on the side on the fenders. That indicates that it is a Ba-10M. Not that it affects the kit at all, it's just bad labelling. Now let's crack this one open and see what this is like inside. So again, this is what we get inside the box. Not as full as the T-35 and T-28, but nonetheless still pretty full. So we've got our slide moulded armoured car body. Very nice, very sturdy. Some people won't like this, I'm not too bothered. We've got a packet of our rubber wheels, headlamps, photo etch, and the rest of the kit. And here we have the painting guide. My biggest complaint I think I've got about all Hobby Boss kits is the painting guide never tells you where these vehicles were. However, we can kind of guess by looking at the Ba-10 combat history. So they were used in the Winter War of 1939-1940, they were used in the invasion of Poland, they were used in the occupation of Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. They were used obviously in World War II, and some were captured by the Germans and used as anti-partisan vehicles. So the first one I'm showing you is a nice camouflaged winter scheme. Down here we've got another not so camouflaged, there you go, not so camouflaged winter scheme. I'll turn it over. The only summer scheme you get, if you want to make the vehicle Russian that is, very nice camouflaging, although I still haven't found any photographic evidence of this vehicle. Probably is, I'm just not looking in the right places. Last but not least, for you German fans, you've got a Ba-10 being used as an anti-partisan vehicle. I would compare this to my old Zvezda Ba-10 armoured car, but I think you'd probably all kill me for the state that it's in. Unfortunately, it had a few too many accidents and is now in sort of a plasticky mess. If I'm honest, I don't know much about armoured cars. It seems pretty accurate looking at technical drawings and stuff, and it's going to go together better than the old Zvezda one. I would recommend picking up this kit, definitely. Now the last thing we're going to look at are the Hobby Boss individual link tracks for the T-35. The box is the typical Hobby Boss track box, so you got the normal card and then just a grey and white sleeve. Doesn't go all the way around. Open it up, and you can see that we've got a bag for individual links, and there it is. We've got the guide, which I never find enough use because I don't use the pins. No, that's not great. So I lift up this, and underneath here we have the pins. There are a bloody lot of them. I do think Hobby Boss have been a bit sneaky, the fact that you have to buy this separately to get all the links. However, I will be using this on my ICM T-35 because the tracks on that were absolutely awful. Now the real test will be whether the track links go around the drive wheel. Hopefully it will. So yeah, that is the tracks. Thank you for watching. I hope you have made up your mind to go and get these fantastic models after watching this, because I would highly recommend them all. Even the old ICM ones I'd recommend picking up just to compare the moulds of the new and the old. The tracks are obviously very important if you want to get the ICM one. Now in the UK the T-35 retails for £45, so $44.99. The Soviet T-28 retails at $32.99. The Ba-10 retails at $23.99. And the track links retail at, don't quote me on this, $10.99. So I think definitely for the T-35 and the T-28, the money is really worth it. You get an absolute box full, and in my opinion, it's an absolutely fantastic subject. Also, while you're at it, try to get the books, the T-28 Steel Fortress and the T-35 Land Battleship. They are absolutely fantastic for reference. As I said, tons of photos and 1/35 plans. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Iron Bloke. If you like watching these modelling videos, then don't forget to tell me in the comments below and I shall make some more. This has been Iron Bloke, and until the next time, cheerio.